Welcome back. This is part 2 of my Starlight guide. In this video we're going to be talking about power cards. Starlight starts the game with 4 unique power cards. All of these cards have moon and they're all utility style effects and I guess defense. The first one is Piece of the Nighttime Sky. It is a 1 cost moon. It is a fast power from a sacred site range. If the tear level is 1, the invaders do not ravage in target land this turn. You may then repeat this card by forgetting it, and then you gain the moon. This card is Starlight's Ravage Skip. I tend to almost never forget this card just because a lot of times it can save you when things get a little bit, when you're a little bit in trouble. The one thing to point out is when you do forget it, you get to have that moon, so you're technically not losing that innate, I guess, if you have 2 moon. I'm trying to think there's anything else with this card. It's very good into Russia because it will stop the double ravages if you're in tier level 1. It's great in Habsburg, great into Sweden. I don't really use it much into England or France, but it definitely has a purpose. The next card is Gather the Scattered Light of Stars. It is a slow power, 1 moon. At the end of the turn, after discarding, you may reclaim up to 2 cards to your hand. So let's say I played these 2 cards here, and I also played Gather. After discarding, so after these cards go into discard, I may look through my discard and reclaim up to 2 of those cards to my hand. Now, I can choose to forget a unique power card. If I do, I get to reclaim 3 additional cards. So now, let's say I'm playing these 3 cards this turn, and they all go to Time Pass. I get to reclaim 2. If I decide to forget a unique, I could reclaim 5. I tend to forget this card a lot. When I first started playing Starlight, I thought I always needed this card for reclaims, but it turns out by the time I reach this reclaim node here, this reclaim all node, I don't really need this card. And it not having elements is a very big deal. I'm sure there's some builds that utilize it, but most of the time, this is the card I lose. Our next card is Shape the Self Anew. It is a 0 cost moon slow power. You may gain a minor. You may forget this power card to gain 3 energy. If you have 4 moon, you may gain a major instead of a minor. So first, let's lock it. This bottom part here, if you have 4 moon, this does not exist. So just don't even try to get it. It's a trap. I really wish this, instead of having 4 moon, I wish it was like 3, possibly 2. But because it's 4 moon, it's just impossible to hit. The top part here, you're going to gain a minor, and then you always want to forget shape because this 3 energy will be important. Most of the time, you're never going to have enough time to replay this card just because your first turn, you're not doing anything. You're not actually impacting the board. So you need, you can't afford to play this card on a future turn and not impact the board as well. So just forget it, gain that energy, and don't look back. The last card you have is Boon of Reimagining. It is a 1 cost moon slow power. You target a spirit. That spirit has to forget a card from hand or discard. If they do, they get to draw 6 minors and gain 2 of them. If you target another spirit, gain 1 energy. A lot of times I play this card and I play Shape Self Anew, and I use Boon of Reimagining to forget Gather. That's usually my first turn. In the next video, I'll talk about openings, but that's usually what I do. And this Shape Anew is going to give you 4 looks. Oh, let's switch our color to yellow again so you can see. Shape a Self Anew will give us 4 looks, 1 card. Boon of Reimagining gives us 6 looks, 2 cards. So you're looking at a lot of cards on turn 2 to help kind of build your hand. Thinking if there's anything else I want to talk about in this video before I move on to the minors. I think that is it for looking at uniques, so let's look at minors. So the way I approach Starlight is I like to focus on 3 innates, and that is the earth, the water, and the plant. And there are a couple cards. Turns out some of the best cards in the game tend to overlap on those elements. And that is these 4 cards. If I see these 4 cards, I mean, they're pretty much an instant pick. Gift of Power being a perfect element card that also gives you moon. It's 0 cost and it lets you fish for more cards. It's just probably the best card out of these four outside of Constancy. Constancy, it's a Sun Earth, gives you a reclaim, which means it allows you to take your reclaim one a lot less often. In addition, it has that Earth, so it hits that Earth innate and then that Sun innate for the late game. Call to Trade, once again, it's a tri-element. It's going to have that water, that earth, that plant, and this is a Ravage skip. Very, very good. Living Energy, probably the weakest out of the four, but it's still a energy boon like Constancy. And instead of having that earth, it has that fire and plant. The next card I have down here is Spur. Spur is just an awesome support card, but a lot of times I take this card on myself because it's essentially you pay one energy to gain one sun. And a lot of times that's exactly what you need to hit this innate here. Okay. So pretty much if you see any of these cards, these four, and then Spur's really bonus, but these four, if you see any of them, instant picks. Okay. Over here, I've listed all of the four, or I guess it's five, all of the Earth Plant cards. These are all defense, just incredible cards with the Spirit. Hazards is a great card too, just not as good as the other four. Down here, I've listed the Earth Waters. These cards are very, very strong. Same with Encompassing. But just hitting that Earth innate for the defend and the Water innate for the blight removal. Down here, I have the tri-elements. These are the water, earth, plants. Hazard or Shore Seas, not so good. The effect is, I would say, pretty medium, but it is a tri-element. Renewing Rain is a phenomenal card. It's tri-element that removes more blight for you. It's more defense and also can give you wilds. Over here, I just have some extra, just miscellaneous cards that I love taking on Starlight. Call to Guard, it's a 0 cost Sun Earth defend. Twin Days, it's a Sun Moon, and it lets you repeat your lowest card. A lot of times I combo it with one of these two cards, especially Constancy or Gift of Power. It just does busted things. Like playing Starlight with these two cards, you're giving out a Twin Days, you're giving out two Constancies, so that means you have two reclaims. And then if you get two more Suns, you get a third reclaim. So you just don't even need to ever choose this reclaim option. You just get to reclaim. I love Call to Ferocity, just another Sun Earth. This allows you to get some Dahan movement. We do have an Earth innate that's defending, but we lack that Dahan movement. And Call to Ferocity gives us that, as well as on element. Quicken the Earth Struggle. It's a 1 cost defend 10. It has that Earth, so it can give us another defend 5. I really like this card because you have a ton of movement from your first growth option here, moving a presence, as well as you can place a presence, so you can create sacred sites quite easily with the Spirit. I then have Call to Isolation, and Veil is just a fast Dahan movement. You can also replace this with Bird's Cry Warning, just any fast Dahan movement, just a combo with your Earth Innate, and then Call to Isolation is just an incredible card. Now, these are just cards I'm looking at. There are plenty of great cards too in this minor deck, but really you're looking for these cards, and then some of these cards. So I'm not going to talk about any majors. A lot of times when I'm drafting for Starlight and I'm looking at majors, it's in the moment. It's based on the cards I've already drafted, and that's why I'm talking about the minors, because these are the cards that you're going to draft first, and then you draft majors after that, usually in the mid game. I hope this helps someone that's trying to understand how to draft at Starlight. If this video helped you, like, subscribe. In the next video, we'll be talking about openings. See you then.